Today I have a special guest, Manisha Joshi. Manisha recently purchased a home, and she purchased it. It was the first purchase she's ever done on her own as a single woman. And she's going to share with us that experience today. And the hope is to leave you with a little bit more knowledge and transparency about how that transaction went, because it wasn't the best experience, and how you can ask the right questions to your realtor so that you have a really good experience in buying your home. Manisha is an entrepreneur. She created Styles by Manisha because to her, style is everything, and it's everywhere. And in her words, and I'm quoting, it is 360 degrees. Style is reflected in how we interact, what we project in our social media, how we dress, the way we set a table, and why we pick patterned socks over plain. And I noticed that my son today was wearing patterned socks.
Awesome, I love it.
So she is also a social media pro. She helps clients navigate all the new trends, posting on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the different ones. And you know there's a new one popping up all the time. Now, I met Manisha recently when a friend recommended that I use her services for social media, and I did, and that's when I discovered she has so many talents. So today we're welcoming Manisha to the house.
Thank you, Zelda. I'm honored to be here.
So tell me, what brought you to Jacksonville?
Marriage brought me to Jacksonville. I'm a Southern California native and moved to Jacksonville and fell in love with the city. And actually, my first set of friends began at the Jacksonville Chamber of Commerce. And I didn't know where to go when I wanted to start my handbag business. And here I am, close to being a 15-year member.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you've been here for a while now.
I have been.
So you were married, so you had a home.
I did.
Okay.
We actually went through 2 home processes, which was great. And soon after I decided to kind of go on my own, I was looking for a condo. And it was just happened to be a beautiful sunny afternoon. I thought I'd pop on my cell phone and see what's out there. And I went on Realtor.com and clicked on a few listings and had, an agent reach me. And
so you reached out, so you were online,
yes,
which is how most people start their search, and you saw the Realtor.com ad, and you saw a list of realtors listed or one?
No, I actually just saw the listing itself, and I thought, 2-bedroom condo, 2-bath, perfect, let me just hit interested. But there's nothing on there telling you what the process is. You get a text, you get a phone call, and then suddenly a realtor wanting to show you the listing.
So you out of the blue got the phone call?
Exactly.
You weren't expecting a phone call?
No, I didn't know what the process was.
Interesting.
And soon I had a realtor saying, hey, what time can you see the listing? And I said, this is great. I can see it now. But no one telling me that that's now going to be my realtor because I'm showing you the listing.
Gotcha.
So after seeing several and finally landing on the one that was the dream one, she encouraged me to make an offer.
How many condos did she show you?
I saw about, 9 that weekend.
Okay.
And finally...
She was hustling.
Yes. And it was just a fluke. So I was very happy. It wasn't even that I was set on looking for anything. But there was nothing telling me, okay, hey, when we make this offer, this is what's going to happen.
Okay. So let's back up for just a minute and go back to the Realtor.com because many of our listeners, many buyers, sellers, they go to the Realtor.com, they go to the Zillows of the world, and they see, usually you'll see a list of realtors there. So
right.
I'm gonna share with y'all the secret of what that is. Why you see a lot of realtors on those sites. And you'll usually see more than one. Sometimes it's one at a time, but the next time you look at the same ad, it could be a different realtor. Here's what's happening, is realtors have to go find leads. So these companies are selling leads, basically. Okay. So what they do is they go, Miss Realtor, would you like to buy this zip code? So you buy zip codes. So I can say, I want to buy zip code 32299. Or I want to buy 32044, whatever it is.
Interesting.
And they will tell you, that zip code is going to cost you X amount of money a month, or this one's going to cost you, so they different amounts depending on how large that particular area is.
Okay.
And it's usually not just a month to month. They might tell you it's month to month just to get the agent started, but then what happens is they lock you into a contract, the realtor into a contract, and they don't just sell that zip code to one realtor.
Okay.
They can sell now. They're different. Realtor, Zillow, they're all different, and there's many of them out there. But this is the basic of how it works. So then what happens is they sell them to different realtors. So what it is like a round robin. Now, I will tell you, there is one large franchise out there that was smart, and many, many years ago, they said to the Zillows of the world, you can't put our listings on your sites unless you put the listing agent first.
Gotcha.
And you tell them this is the listing agent.
Okay.
So does that clear up how that works? So she was in a round robin situation. You're a realtor. It was her turn, and she picked up that phone and she called you. So that's how that started. Did I leave anything out? That's pretty much how those are going to work. Sometimes they have what's called a premier agent. That means they paid more money. And we're talking not hundreds of dollars. We're talking thousands. These realtors are paying thousands of dollars a month to get that lead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. And those premier agents are paying even more so that maybe they're the exclusive one. Doesn't mean they're the listing agent. And I want to clear something up really quickly about listing agents on these sites or anywhere. A lot of times, and you might have thought this too, I'm talking to the listing agent, I'll get a deal. No. The deal is the listing agent got a deal, not you, the buyer.
Okay.
The listing agent is going to get all agents are working on commission. There is no salary. There is no nothing. It's a commission basis. If you don't close a deal, you don't get paid. So they're getting the seller in Florida is getting, unless they've negotiated something different, the seller is going to pay their agent, and they're going to pay the buyer's agent.
Okay.
And so whatever that fee is, whatever that commission is, it's split 50-50, generally speaking. Doesn't have to be,
Right.
but generally speaking. So when this listing agent comes along and they're representing the buyer and the seller, what do you think happens? They're getting both deals.
Yeah.
They're happy happy. They call that the birthday sale. So there's no break to you, the buyer. There's not really a huge advantage either. It's not a disadvantage, but it's not an advantage, because as a realtor, I can tell you, for me, it's total transparency. When I'm working both sides of the deal, I am very transparent with both the seller and the buyer for as much as I can be legally. I am an open book.
That's good.
So that's how that works. So tell us, what do you feel you said that they didn't help you with the steps to step. Where were they missing?
So as excited as I was that this was the condo, it's perfect, the size, there was I didn't have to come in and, be an HDTV person and fix anything. But there was nothing telling me that, okay, we're putting in an offer and now this is what's going to happen. So I've put myself in a position of constantly chasing the realtor. Well, now what's happening? Okay, it's day 3. Have you heard from them? Now what's, and while
So you were waiting to hear, you've put in an offer and you haven't heard anything back yet.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so my advice would have been, hey, week to week, even every few days, let me know. I'm a first-time buyer.
Gotcha.
So it's a condo. So my condominium owner friends said, oh, well, did you find out about association fees? Well, what are and I didn't know what those were. I've never lived in a condo. So again, having her being upfront and saying, this is a condo, it's different from a home.
Yeah.
You'll have these monthly fees, annual fees, something, even a bullet pointed sheet.
And you should have, because legally, when you're buying a condominium, actually when you're buying anything that's in a deeded restricted community, they have so many days to get you a copy of it. Nowadays it's electronic, so that you can review the condo documents. And if I don't recall the exact number of days, but it's dated, you have, I think, maybe 10 days if it's an existing, and 3 days to review them if it's a brand new one. No, I think, or it's opposite that, 3 and 10. There's a date.
Funny you should say that, and these are things my friends told me, not the realtor.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And so this experience is not one that I
No.
enjoyed. I wanted it to be happy. My first.
Hey, for the record, I didn't know Manisha back then.
Exactly.
Or I would have been her realtor.
Exactly.
I didn't know you then.
I know.
But that's legally they are supposed to give you that document, because you have to sign off on a form that says you received them.
Right.
Within so many days you had to review them. So they should have asked the listing agent for those documents. So,
Yeah.
and they're usually pretty easy to get. So that's that one. And what also should have happened at this point in the transaction was she should have said to you, well, first of all, you had if you were paying cash or if you were getting a loan, they would have asked for your pre-qualifying letter or proof of funds letter right up front. Okay, so you would have
Right.
known that first we have to get that done. And in the contract, did she not go over the contract where you were putting in an offer?
She did go over that, but once again, all the condo complications, parking space, just all of those different logistics and the steps, that was most critical to me. Okay, I'm signing this offer letter, but now what? The sort of now what was constantly lingering. And then what was also confusing is not only did I have a realtor, then two other people popped in, an office admin and a manager.
Right.
So suddenly I went from communicating to one person to texting three, and the confusion just
And
grew.
I'm going to address that. That's a pet peeve of mine,
Yeah.
but I'm going to tell you what happened with that. First of all, is when what I think most agents should do is as soon as you get the client and they're putting in an offer, you tell them the process, which is, okay, now we've put in an offer. They have 24 hours because we've put on the contract. You have 24 hours to tell us yes or no. And then once they've said yes, I'm going to tell you that, okay, we've got 3 days to get them our deposit.
Right.
And here's your receipt that shows you paid your deposit. And now we have 10 days to get an inspect. And this is all spelled out on a paper, but not only am I emailing you this document, I'm explaining this to you.
Right.
So I try not to, and maybe not really in her defense or his defense, but you don't want to, it can be overwhelming to give you so much information at the beginning, but I'll give you the bullet points of what's going to happen and then in between what's going to happen.
And I think it's good for the realtor to ask the buyer, is this your first time? Are you aware of what happens in the buying process? To ask those questions. I would have said, you know what? No, I would love to know more to kind of understand what level of, not interference, but what level of communication, how much do you want to hear from us? Because me chasing the realtor was not
good.
fun, no.
And they should also be asking, how do you want to communicate? Because everyone communicates different. Some people want the phone calls. Some people want the text messages. Others want the emails. Fewer want the emails. Mostly it's texting and phone calls, but every now and then.
In this case, I did all three and would sometimes not hear back for 48 hours.
Wow, that's definitely not good, and that's not normal.
No, yeah, I didn't think it was.
That's not normal. That's not normal. They should absolutely stay in touch. In fact, what I do is I can't hold back. I can't wait till the end of the week to say, here's what's going on. So I'm sometimes texting or emailing or calling on a daily basis to say whatever is going on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think purchasing a home or a car, it's an emotional purchase.
Yes.
And so hearing from the whole process kind of keeps you excited about it versus stressed out. And this whole 30 days was just very stressful.
You closed in 30 days?
I did.
That's great.
The process was great, or the timing was great. The process
was not.
Yeah.
So it was really the lack of communication. Now, let's go back for a second. You mentioned all of a sudden I'm being handed off to all these other people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it's a aggravation to me as a realtor as well. I don't do that. Even though I'm a single agent, I have a team that can help me with transactions, keeping things moving smoothly and all that. I want to be your only contact. But what happens a lot of times is these people get big, or they're not big and they want to seem big, or they don't want to handle all of it.
Right.
They go, I can't handle all of this. So they hand it off to their team members. So one is called a transaction coordinator. She's making sure all your documents are good and all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Well, that's lovely. But then if there's something wrong, they shouldn't be the one reaching out to you. It should be the agent.
Right.
So then they'll tell you they have if you're representing
a manager or a project manager or something that was, and it just, with all the hands in the pot, I'm still not getting answers. Even up until when you have to do the wire transfer for the title company.
Okay, yeah.
I was not told anything what goes on. So I had to call the title company and say, what am I expecting to do tomorrow? And she said, oh, your agent hasn't told you? And I said, do I bring a driver's license, a checkbook? And when she told me that the wiring of funds could take up to 72 hours and I may not close tomorrow, my heart sank. I thought, why wasn't I told this? Yeah. And it was very last minute. And again, they have my text. They can call me. They chose to email me by 4:00 that day. my wiring instructions. Now, when it's urgent, you pick up the phone and call.
And wiring instructions came from the realtor?
Yes.
Wow. Well, I'm going to tell you how I do it differently and how it should be done, in my opinion. It should never be sent from the realtor. Wire information, with so much wire fraud out there, I tell my clients right up front, you are going to get wire instructions. It's not going to be last minute. And you're going to get them direct from the title company or the closing attorney or who's ever doing your closing, because I don't want that information, excuse me, in my computer.
Right.
I want that direct link going straight to you, because we're talking serious dollars being wire transferred with account information, attachments to an email. So I want all of that kind of stuff going directly
direct.
to you. But I'm going to let you know, here's the title company, here's who, and that's not done the day before. You've got that usually a week or two before, so that you have time to move money around or do whatever it is that you have to do to get that wire ready. And then
I didn't even know the closing amount until 48 hours before our closing day. I got it Wednesday at 4 o'clock. I was closing on Friday.
Now, sometimes that will happen because things change.
Right.
But for the most part, you should know pretty much what it is. You go to the bank, you say, I need a wire transfer. Here's the information.
Yeah.
It goes, you get a confirmation letter from your bank as soon as you do it. And it should not take 72 hours to hit the other
Luckily,
end.
it didn't. And the title company said normally it shouldn't be a problem, but it can be up to, and I just want to warn you of that. Now, my concern was, and I told the title company, I'm glad you told me this, but if I worked full time, 9 to 5, when the banks close, I wouldn't have closed on Friday.
That's
Luckily, I have the luxury of being able to go to the bank before it closes or at lunch. But it just, all of it, and I told the realtor, she said, I wish you told me that you experienced. I said, I did many different times, but there was 3 of you. And I kept telling all 3 of you, hey, you need to tell me week to week what's going on.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'll tell you, on my end, when I get these realtors on the other end that say, here's my transaction coordinator, here's my this person, here's my that person, and be sure you send them, I ignore it personally.
Yeah.
And I figure, you know what? I'm working with you. You're the licensed realtor. I'm sending it to you. If that's your team, you can send it out to who
Exactly.
you need. I'm not sending it to all your people.
Right.
I'm a busy realtor as well, and I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm sending it to you, and you can send it to whomever you want.
Exactly.
And
It's
that's how
your
I
team,
do it. Yeah.
you manage it,
That's your
kind of,
team.
yeah.
That's right. I'm not going to take care of who's Amanda and Jill and Mary.
Yeah.
And I can't keep up with all your people, because you're not the only deal I'm working. So
Yeah.
So that's how that works. So that's how that works. Let's see what else was going on.
Other things too, like understanding when inspection comes to play, when repairs come to play. Even last minute, I didn't even know what my parking spaces were. Whether I was getting a garage or not. It's doing that due diligence of research so that you can come to the buyer and say, I've gotten all the information for you, so that the buyer is at ease, that I'm not worried.
So you didn't even know if you had a garage?
No.
That's crazy.
was
That should have
very
even
last
been in the
minute.
listing. It should have said this one comes or doesn't come with a garage, or it's got 1 or 2 parking places.
Yeah.
And that's just that's not necessarily the listing agent. She should have reached out to the listing agent and given you that. I bet you didn't even know where your mailbox was.
No. And see, that's the thing, is if I were a real estate agent, I would not only, of course, you and I, Zelda, are alike. We would do the welcome basket, maybe a bottle of wine. But even without all of those frills, just, saying, here's your keys, here's, all
You didn't
of
get that at the closing?
No, I had to go to the office and get my pool. And I told her, I said, so how do I access the pool? Oh, you need a pool key. I mean, little things like that.
And that's usually what you're going to get at the closing is probably the house key.
Yes. And
Okay, that's really what
yeah.
you're going to get, and a mailbox key.
Which didn't work, by the way, the house key.
Oh no! Somebody changed the key or something. I don't
It
know.
was it just this
WD-40.
whole process was
It was
a
bad,
nightmare.
but the pool keys and things like that are usually given out by the HOA.
Which is fine. Again, another thing, it would have been nice if the realtor said, when you get there, make sure you pay this fee. It's $15 for the pool key. Make sure you just letting me know. Okay, great. By the way, also the office is open 10 to 5, Monday through Friday, so make sure you do it during the week. It would have been so nice for me to know my to-dos, which I don't mind if you give me to-dos. tell me what
But
they
tell me
are
what they
instead
are.
of me having to dig.
And you can accidentally leave out one or two of them, but
Right.
not this whole smorgasbord that you had. That's not
It was
cool.
a chase. And to rely on my real estate friends, honestly, Zelda, I was calling friends who are realtors, and they asked me, why are you asking me? Your realtor should be telling you this.
And I will tell you, I get that a lot as a realtor. Another one of those little pet peeves, or I will have people call me constantly, and they'll ask me. They're acquaintances. They're
Right.
not the real friend. They're the acquaintance, and they will ask me the gazillion questions, and I'm happy to help them. I really am. But it's kind of like, why aren't you asking your realtor these?
Yeah.
Or fire them. Did you know you're not obligated to your, I mean, once you're under contract, you're under contract. But
Yeah.
until then, you can change realtors. I had someone call me just the other day and they go, I'm not happy with my realtor. I said, well, and you were recommended. I said, okay, well, have you signed anything saying you are exclusive to them or anything like that? No, I haven't signed anything. Okay, great. Well, I'm happy to help you. Let's get started.
That's great to know.
It's like, no, they don't own you, y'all. This is the USA. They don't own you. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else what else they could have done to make your experience better.
What I had suggested is creating a folder with a bullet pointed sheet. And there should be one for a first time buyer, whether it's a home, a condo, a duplex, whatever it is, because it's different. In my lifetime, we've bought homes. This is a condo. It's totally different. The rules are different. Like I said, association, monthly dues, and kind of even just a schedule. You know, what happens after you put in an offer, and what does that mean when you put in an offer? How does the negotiation work? Okay, after that, scheduling an inspection. After that, repairs. None of that I knew.
So when it came time to, she told you at some point, we have 10 days to get an inspection. Mm-hmm. So did she even give you a couple of people that you could call for an inspection?
She did say they had, inspectors they could use. Now I did go ahead and pick and choose, an inspector that I knew, but then also letting me know, okay, they've inspected it, now what?
So what happened once you got that inspection report back? Did she call you or you called her?
I called her and I said, I've got the inspection report. And she said, yes, the inspector has sent it to us as well. The common answer I was always getting, Zelda, is we're working on it, but not telling me what are you working on.
Yeah.
So I'm blindsided with, well, what part? The real estate part, the finance, what am I, where are we? Mm-hmm. So while everything did get done on time, I was always in the dark. And that was very frustrating. It was very last minute. Oh yeah, we got the repairs done. Well, you did? So
wait, they said they got the repairs done?
The repairs got done. The seller, the owner of that condo was fantastic. She
okay.
did her due diligence of fixing the repairs and getting it. But it was me always making those phone calls.
So here's how the difference is in that experience and an experience with, and I can only speak for myself and the team that I work with. And it's not a team, we have agents, so I shouldn't say the word team. It's the agents that work in Legacy Realty Group, North Florida. This is what we do. So you get your inspection report, or it's time to do your inspection. And that's usually done pretty quickly. Even though you have 10 days, it's usually done pretty quick.
Right.
Which yours was.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you, do you know an inspector? If not, I can recommend some. And I'm gonna give you a couple of them to recommend. I'm gonna recommend a few so that you can price shop.
Right.
And then once you find them, I have to coordinate with the other agent when they can go, and I'm gonna coordinate with you to say, do you wanna be there? If you can't be there, I can be there so that I'm your eyes and ears to help you.
Okay.
Okay? Sometimes agents won't go there because it can take hours.
Yeah.
Probably didn't, but it could.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they do. So that's scheduled. Now, within 24 hours, you're usually going to get that inspection report back, and it can be a 52-page thing. I mean, it's a report, and it's got photographs, and it's got things that they are saying need to be repaired, might need to be repaired, and they're okay, right?
Right.
So now the other agent gets a copy of it too. And I'm now going to pick up the phone and say, did you get your inspection report? And you're going to say, yes, I did. I said, great, let's go through it. And I've already gone through it before I've called you, okay? I've gone through it, and I know what's wrong with your house, and I know the must fix and the knots and the ones that you can let go.
That's fantastic that you take the time to do that.
So then say, okay, these are the things. Do you have a list? And I want you to make a list.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make a list, and then we're going to compare the ones that we feel are they must do.
Yeah.
I don't try to kill the seller with overreacting over a couple little things, but we're going to get the main things fixed. If we need something done with the roof, we need something done with the electricity, the plumbing, the heating and air conditioning unit. Those are the first four. Then we're going to look at things like fogged windows, and we're going to look at things, that
Yeah.
don't work, that don't open and close properly, those kinds of things. So paint, scratches, not so worried about.
Right. And
MD?
I repainted the whole condo
Yeah.
because bless her heart, she loved pink.
Oh, but pink just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how
Yeah.
that process should work, is we go over it together, and then I'm going to write up a repair request. I'm going to send it to you to sign, and then we send it to the seller to sign, and then they have so many days to get those repairs done, and then we're going to go back and inspect
Yeah.
those repairs.
And I will tell you that the time that I had to go back and inspect, it wasn't the realtor that was there. It was one of the other ones.
Yeah.
So that also kind of dismayed me in the sense that both times I had to visit the condo after putting in the offer, when we had to go, see everything, she was not present. And so to me, that also depersonalizes the service. You're
It
my
does.
realtor, but you're sending someone else who's not familiar with the condo, because I even asked him questions and
And he didn't know.
he
And
knew nothing.
legally, he probably couldn't answer your questions because he's not a licensed realtor. And if you're not a licensed realtor, an assistant is only allowed to answer questions that are basically on that MLS sheet,
Right.
and that is it.
And see, why
They-
send that person
Yeah.
then? You should be present or reschedule with me.
So if you want a really personal experience, and you want that hands-on, and you want your realtor that you hired, then you need to ask them, perhaps right up front, is, am I going to be working with you, or am I going to be working with a team member? And if they say, you're also going to be working with a team member, I have a whole team, which makes them sound so wonderful to people, that's not the one for you.
Yeah.
You want somebody who's going to be there for you,
Exactly.
they're going to be the one answering your questions. Maybe their team member answers the telephone,
Yeah.
and says, let me see your question, and I will have Mary Smith get back with you. But that's how that should go. It should never
Yeah.
be that they've just because the assistants are not legally able to answer your questions.
Yeah, it was very disappointing that day because none of my questions could be answered.
Well, I am so sorry that you had such a bad experience, because it was a bad experience, and it wasn't a normal experience. I want you to know that.
I'm glad you're telling
So
me
it
that.
wasn't normal. And when you told me about this, I was just so dismayed, because I was like, that's not
Yeah.
the realtors I know. We're very courteous. Like yesterday, I just had multiple offers on a listing of mine, and many realtors would, once you accept one, they
Right.
might have just ignored the other people and just waited for them to call me, or they figure it out. I didn't do that. The first thing in the morning, I emailed that other realtor to let them know, hey, thank you for your offer,
Right.
but we've accepted another one. So
Yeah.
I just didn't want to leave them hanging.
No, and I think that's great. And again, email, text, phone, there's so many ways to communicate.
Yeah.
So when your realtor does not pick up the phone, does not text you back, that just
And I'm going to tell you, I don't care who they are or what they are not that busy that they
Yeah.
cannot pick up the phone. There are over 9,500 realtors in our area.
Wow.
And there aren't that many homes for sale. So therefore, there's no excuse for being a sloppy realtor.
No.
Sorry, but there isn't. So, okay, realtors out there who have a team, you heard it from a recent buyer. They don't like that. They want you to pick up the phone and call them. If you're too busy, then you know what? Then send your clients to me. I'm not too busy.
Now I know you, Zelda.
So listen, I want to thank you so much, Manisha, for coming today and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Hopefully this will help other people know what to ask when they're looking to buy or sell a home. If you want to learn more about Manisha and Styles by Manisha, because she is styling, how can people connect with you so that they can learn more about you, your social media, and all the different things that you do?
Thank you, Zelda. They can find me on Facebook. My page is Style by Manisha, or they can look up my personal page, Manisha Joshi.
Sounds great to me. So again, if you're looking to buy or sell some real estate, you know how you can find me at gozelda.com. And that's our show for this week. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Zelda.